Okay, so this is like the second time I'm recording this. Let's talk about Jordan Peele and what he had to say about the Gordy scene, because I think it's very important to talk about this, because not only does it really help us understand the film more, but it also helps us understand where he was coming from and what this actually does mean for like actors, entertainers, and just people in general who are exploited. Because yes, the Gordy scene is all about exploitation. Before we get into that any further, go ahead and subscribe, hit that notification bell. We're trying to get to 25,000 subscribers. We just did another video on the Nope sequel that might be on the way, so make sure you're tuning into that. But let's talk about this, because Jordan Peele, in the recent interview with Empire, which I think the whole interview will be on the new Empire magazine, talked about what the Gordy scene really meant to him and what it does show about the entertainment industry as a whole. So this is what he had to say when he was talking about the Gordy scene. He says, it's about exploitation. It's about feelings of rage at the industry. He goes on to also say that I think there's an interesting thing happening for the audience. There is, we fear Gordy, but we don't hate Gordy. And I completely agree with him. I think that we understand that the scene is scary. It is one of the scariest scenes of the year, in my opinion, because it just feels so raw, visceral, and real at the same time, right? Like, yeah, Jean Jacket is a thing that is scary to think about it, but when you think about what could actually happen, like, more realistically, you immediately go into that chimpanzee attack, because we've heard about it before when animals attack, and there's been a chimpanzee attack as well that is very much so covered in the news a lot. And so this is definitely what I believe was the whole intention of it as well, is that it shows that this animal, who is not really meant to do the things that they are making Gordy do for this show, is out here being pushed to the edge and pushed to do what is not natural for it. And so at the end of the day, it is something that was bound to happen, because there is no way that you can sort of like push nature in this way and make it think like it's going to understand or do what you want it to do just because you want it to. And so if you didn't know, the actor who played Gordy is an actual actor. Like, they are a person who did the mocap and everything. They actually worked on Planet of the Apes, and that is Terry Notary. And he actually talked a little bit more and elaborated as well what Jordan Peele told him about this scene and Gordy in general. So he says, Jordan talked to me a little bit about his career in the beginning. He said, people take advantage of animals and people, and Gordy's sequence is important because it kind of represents my early career as a performer. So Notary, pretty much from what Jordan Peele says here, knows that this is supposed to be a scene about how much you get pushed as an individual all the way to where you reach a breaking point. And I think this is something that we see a lot with actors in the space. I think you see it as well with even people who do maybe YouTube or TikTok influencers, or just in general anybody in a workspace where they are constantly being pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed in order for the profits or whatever it may be that is what the higher ups and the boss want from them. And at a certain point, it's sort of like a breaking point, because you are so pushed to an extreme that you just go all the way out. And I think that's something that's interesting here that they talk about as well. He also goes on to talk about how he had to play this in a naturalistic way as possible to show the duality of the audience fearing Gordy, but not necessarily blaming him. And he said this for that. It was just, this is what I do, and I'm sorry about that. I know I'm probably upsetting people, but I can't help it. You are forcing me to do something that I don't do normally, and I've reached my breaking point. I didn't want to play evil. That's what Notary said. And I think we totally see that with Gordy's scene, because by the end of it all, we see an animal who is just as confused as what's happening as everybody else is. And they sort of snap out of this spell that had them pretty much wreaking havoc on everybody that they could get their hands on. And I think that it was a great way to show just exactly how much pain and suffering this animal as well had been through, that they were sort of in a blank state. You know how they say when you have like shock or trauma, you don't really remember what's going on after it. And I think that's something that's sort of shown here with Gordy. Overall, I think that what Peele and the actor here said about the scene really makes us feel a little bit more like engrossed into what this whole film was about, because I've said it in numerous of my videos talking about the movie. It was all about the exploitation and wanting that spectacle at whatever cost that was, and we saw many people throughout the film go down that path. The TMZ guy, the director, and just about everybody else who was involved in the entertainment aspect of it, they sort of saw it more as a way to make money. Even Ricky Jupe, who went through the trauma of the Gordy incident, still was trying to figure out a way to profit off of that trauma. And the thing was, it wasn't just his trauma, because there were other people involved in the situation who also came out of it broken and hurt. And it was just something that he was there to take advantage of at the end of the day, because he felt some type of way about it. Whereas maybe somebody who got attacked might have felt a different way, because he saw it as sort of a miracle of sorts that happened, that he was able to be saved, and sort of not really the one who is there to like say, you know, what happened here was traumatic, an experience that no one should ever go through. Let's try to find a way to heal and come out of it. Instead, he went the other way and said, how do I make a quick buck out of this? And so I think that that's an interesting aspect about all of this as well. So that's pretty much it for this video. I just wanted to go over that, what Jordan Peele talked about there, because I thought it was an interesting thing to discuss. We are currently filming the podcast, so we're going to be dropping the 2 videos tomorrow for it. Well, we'll drop the first episode on Thursday, and then the next one will drop on Saturday. We're trying to figure out what's the best day to drop these videos, so we'll definitely see how it works out best. But best believe that is coming. So let me know your favorite found footage horror movie. If you do have one, we're going to be including that in next week's podcast. So we're just trying to get as many answers as we can. But as always, that is going to do it for us. We actually got to check out Honk for Jesus yesterday, and that video will come out tomorrow. So stay tuned for that video, our review on it, and our thoughts on it as well. Another Monkey Paw Productions there. Not directed by Jordan Peele, but he did produce it, as well as Daniel Kaluuya was on it. Sterling K. Brown and Regina Hall are hilarious, but more on that tomorrow. But as always, let me know your thoughts and opinions on the Gordy scene. What do you think about what Peele said, about what Notary said about the scene in general and the movie as well? And how do you feel about it as well? I'm curious to see y'all's answers. We do have a ton of videos coming. We are preparing tomorrow as the first day of September. So a ton of stuff will be dropping tomorrow, talking about where the channel's going, as well as some of the releases coming this month, because it's a big month. I mean, August was great, but September is just going to be more incredible. So I'm excited for that. Anyways, as always, make sure you're following us everywhere. Twitter, TikTok, Culture Elixir is the name. Hit that notification bell, hit that subscribe button. And as always, on the road to 25,000 subscribers. I'll see all of you next time. Stay safe, stay positive.